Hi, I'm Sam.
And I'm Lizzie. We look for queer subtext in films.
And we always find it. Yeah.
Donna. Donna.
Get out of the water.
Quick, we need to close the beaches.
What is up, Lizzie?
Hey, how you doing, Sam?
I did not see this coming.
The shark?
Yeah, no. The shark. The movie, the Spielberg.
Oh, the Spielberg of it all. Well, we had to cover Spielberg eventually. He did like kind of invent movie on accident.
Yeah, he tripped, fell, invent movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there was films before, but now, thanks to him, there's movie.
Blockbusters.
Honestly.
Yeah.
If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. We're Subtextual. We're going to tell you how gay this movie is. And if you're listening right now, I really suggest you head over to YouTube. We are in video now. If you're watching us, welcome.
This is our face.
This is what we look like. We also dress like the cast of Jaws.
Yeah, I think we've got the orange tab Levi's on.
Absolutely. I will show you my butt right now. Proof.
Lizzie's
These
got
are
the
orange
denim
tab.
shirt. I've got the thick knitted fisherman sweater. We're ready to
warm.
go.
We're cozy. We have our chum buckets right off screen.
That's what I just call my cat.
Chum bucket.
Buckets of chum.
That's my bucket of chum.
That's right.
But yeah, I'm really excited to be talking about this movie today. I'm also excited to let you guys know that our Patreon is new and improved.
There's a bunch of cool stuff over on Patreon. We have a new series called Rabbit Hole, where last week for Fight Club, we talked about my many reasons of dislike for Chuck Palahniuk, the writer of that novel. And maybe we'll have another one this week.
We're gonna have a rabbit hole for this episode.
I could feel it coming from the 10 pages of notes.
I've been trying really hard not to talk to you about stuff. It's been really hard, you guys, not to talk to my best friend about this movie.
Yeah, Jaws. 40 years later, it's really hard for you.
Actually, 50. Can I show you my most prized possession?
Yes.
I went on eBay. I've never purchased something so fast. This is the 50th anniversary Jaws commemorative cup that came out last year because Jaws just celebrated its 50th anniversary.
I can't think of a better reason for you to be watching this on YouTube right now than to, if not to see this amazing cup.
I even dressed like my cup. That was my outfit inspo today.
Love.
Sam, you seemed really confused whenever I suggested Jaws for this episode, and then we watched it the other day. Had you seen it before? What's going through your mind when you think about Jaws?
Yeah, it really surprised me because this isn't one that we discussed previously. This isn't one that's been on our list forever. And so I had never seen Jaws. I felt like I didn't kind of need to at this point, all the beats, the dun-dun, dun-dun, and then the shark comes and the vertigo shot, and then he takes his glasses off. He's like, ah. But seeing it for the first time was so satisfying. It was really, Spielberg's just that guy.
Yeah.
He's just fantastic. And this movie was so much fun.
Yeah, yeah.
And I also watched it and forgot to look for all the subtext. So towards the end, I was picking up some stuff, but I'm really excited to see what you've got in that thick document.
If this was printed out, it would be dense. What about you, Lee Garcia? What do you think about Jaws?
I love Jaws. I think it's really good. Stephen King is the GOAT.
Stephen King?
Sorry, Steven Spielberg, of course. I like Stephen King too. We've talked about him on the pod.
They both do that shit.
Yeah, they both do.
But yeah, maybe a bit overplayed, but classic. Jaws, the first time I saw it was, I guess, pretty late in life, if you consider at college in the swimming pool at UNO. They had one of those pool screenings, which I think Jaws is always a perfect pool screening. If I have to be honest, I don't think we stayed to the end because I don't remember seeing the whole thing, but I have since watched it many times. It's also a sort of a July 4th movie. So I've seen it a couple times on July 4th since probably the last Independence Day. I probably watched it, but yeah.
It's like an American rite of passage to watch this fucking movie.
Yeah.
It's the most American movie ever.
It does feel like an America that no longer exists, though. A fantasy. If it was made today, I'd be like, wow, this person is obsessed with a lifetime we will not experience again. Yeah. And it also, you said Stephen King, and it just cracked me up because the whole time I was watching Jaws, I was thinking about Stephen King because I'm kind of on a kick. I'm on my 5th Stephen King book in the last 2 months. And he is also like Spielberg. He is that guy, and he cranks out the hits. But specifically with Jaws, Stephen King has such a soft spot for New England.
Yes.
And this is so picturesque New England.
You know Stephen King loves this movie.
Oh, yeah, probably. I'm surprised he had nothing to do with this because it feels like so his vibe.
That would actually be, you know, they do like those actors on actors variety things, but like Stephen King talking to Steven Spielberg. Steven on Steven. Look, it's our idea first. If someone does it, come talk to us. We need a cut.
Yes.
Have they never collaborated? I'm trying to think. There's got to be. I'll search off screen and let you know. But yeah.
Yes.
Lee, this is exactly where your expertise. These are like where your paths align.
Crunching the numbers.
So yeah, why are we talking about this movie today? So this is my first hosted video episode, so I knew I needed to do something good. Mm-hmm. So it took me very long to find a movie that I wanted to do. And actually the universe kind of brought this one to me. You say it wasn't on our list, Sam, but we have like a running list of movies we want to do on the pod. I shit you not, when I say the second movie I wrote on this list was Jaws, and I wrote Jaws ... Hear me out.
Whoa.
Can I also mention to you that I had never seen the film before?
So where did you get that little morsel from?
I don't know.
Huh.
I have like this knack when, like, if my queer little guts started vibrating, I trust it every time now. This podcast has taught me you never know where it's coming from. And, you know, this is one of those films that I don't think the creators, like, I don't think Steven Spielberg is like secretly gay. I don't think this is a whole like big diatribe on like what it means to be queer in America in the 70s or whatever. But I think that like as a queer person, there's a lot to harvest from this film.
Oh, yeah. And we had to. Especially in 1975 when there was no gay representation in movies, you know, like
Absolutely.
We thought we were looking hard in the 90s, you know, when we're falling in love with Buffy or whatever we're doing as lesbians. But like, imagine being a full grown adult in the 70s and just nothing is made for gay people. So you have to kind of hunt and gather through.
But then once I started looking at it closer and closer, I realized I'm not the only one that thinks this. And so Jaws, like I was looking back at our early movie list to be like, okay, what do I do for my first video episode? I saw Jaws. I was like, okay, let me put that one on the back burner. But then it literally just kept coming up in my life organically. Like I was listening to this horror book that I'm going to talk about later, and they kept bringing up Jaws. I was at a Christmas party and someone randomly walked up to me and was like, don't you think Jaws is one of the scariest movies of all time? And I was like, 'tis the season. Why are we talking about Jaws? But then what really clinched it is I was scrolling on Instagram and Kate Minning, who plays Shane from The L Word, posted that day for their birthday. She went to the Jaws exhibition.
They have that?
And when she was like, my gay heart dream has come true. I'm at the Jaws exhibition. And I was like, fucking fine, universe. I'll do Jaws. And so I sat down and made my whole family watch it. And there were some
as
things,
we do.
as you do, to see if it's worth it, to see how everyone reacts. And I was pulling out so goddamn much. I was like scribbling the whole time, like looking at this. So we're here. We're doing Jaws.
I'm excited. I think having waited so long to see it, nothing feels more right than to do it in this fashion.
Exactly. And actually, I'd only seen the film a year ago for the first time. And it really resonated with me. Oh, that was another thing. When I watched it a year ago, I wrote in a journal a bunch of queer thoughts about it, like how I kind of, and I'll get into this later, but I kind of saw like how society treated the AIDS epidemic and a lot of like the kind of panic that was happening and the way that this town was trying to cover up this big secret. It kind of, again, this movie came out before the AIDS crisis, but these are the reads I was picking up. But I just picked up one of my notebooks off the shelf and literally opened it and it was there. It was like all my Jaws notes. This was another thing. I was like, I guess I'm an idiot if the universe has to give me so many like clues to do a movie.
The universe was like, do Jaws already. It's 50 fucking years old.
It wasn't even whispering. It was like, dude, Jaws, you dumb idiot. I was like, okay,
let's do it.
So yeah, what made the little queer tingles in my gut happen with this movie? I think a lot of it has to do with the second half of the film with these three men on a boat.
Okay. We are hitting triads so hard right now.
I know.
We did Challengers. We did Road to El Dorado. Yeah. And Fight Club.
Yeah. Marla Singer, get in here.
We're going to do Y Tu Mama Tambien next week. Every single triad we're going to hit.
I think we are doing another triad for our next episode.
We are.
Oh, no, you guys. Well, there's just something so great about that. Like, they really challenge what you conventionally think of as even a queer relationship. But of course, it, brings an interesting perspective onto what you consider heterosexual relationships if all of a sudden there's a third person involved. So I love it. I love a throuple.
Give me another one,
Yeah, more. There's always more.
There should be room for everybody.
So yeah, these three men, Brody, Matt, and Quint, are just the second half of the film when they're all isolated. I mean, I think whenever you have a movie where men are in like life or death situations in isolation specifically, things get really queer for me. So I feel like a lot of war movies kind of play into these kinds of tropes we're going to talk about. If men are like fighting or surviving or watching each other's backs, all of that to me just... Not necessarily that it is gay to watch your man's back, but that it allows for certain intimacies and certain elements of caring to come out into play. And I feel like that definitely happens between these three characters. There's also like this attentiveness and this very casual touch that all of the characters have, these three specifically have throughout the film. Can't wait to dive into that, sink our teeth into that. And another way that I kind of see my queer experiences in this film is as an allegory for being a queer person who is straight passing.
Oh, yeah.
I see this a lot with the Brody character, with the police character. I was reading through a book of essays on queer horror, and there was an essay that literally just like knocked the breath out of me. I related to it so hard. So I have a book I want to share with you, Sam.
Please, a book.
There's got to be a book involved. This book, Samuel, it came from the closet, Queer Reflections on Horror. Each chapter covers a horror film and a different person's perspective on what they see in it and what's so gay about it. I know you want to get your little paws on it.
Give it to me.
I knew you would like this book so much. I bought you one. This is a gift. I has me own.
They match. Thank you so much. For those who listened to the Challengers episode, I got the soundtrack on vinyl and I got Lizzie a copy, and I love to have mine and then know that you could also have yours.
Our matching like friendship bracelet things are just like gay books.
I think the last book I gifted you that I also had a copy was Men, Women, and Chainsaws.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah, which is great for horror research as well.
Absolute classic. No, this one is fantastic. It's more modern and more accessible than I think Men, Women, and Chainsaws is. That one's for like big brain people. But there is an essay in here by Jen Corrigan called 3 Men on a Boat, where Jen describes the film as scary, dangerous, and a bit sexy, and only queer if you're looking for it, comparing the elusiveness of the shark and how you couldn't see it, but it was always there, to Corrigan's own pansexuality, which I think that's the thing that I was like, Jaws, ... hear me out. Because there's something about this ever-present, omniscient, maybe scary, maybe interesting, looming thing that you have to try to figure out. And that, and in this film, all three men kind of have to figure out together how to navigate these dangerous waters. That was just like, I was like, I relate to this on a really deep level.
Yeah, I think that's like a perfect allegory, like confined and set space with three people. And I mean, especially you're talking about Brody, the police chief, the main character, like when he's on the boat, and we'll talk about these scenes later, of course, it does feel like he is internally challenging his idea of how he presents himself, because he sees these two men acting so freely, and he's almost like, inclined to give way to how he would probably more naturally act if he wasn't like a buttoned up police chief,
Yeah, exactly. I love the Brody character because he has a life before Amity Island that he chooses to leave. And I just think diving into why he would choose to do that, to me, felt very queer, felt like someone who wanted to, because he comes from New York City, right? And he's in his 40s probably. He's not a young guy. So the idea is like he worked at NYPD or whatever sheriff's office in the big city for 10 years and then chose to move his family to an island as a person who is afraid of water, as a person who might have had like a very successful, established life in a big city. And I'm thinking, what would make you move to like small town USA with like all these picture perfect American white picket fence houses? And we'll talk more about Brody later, but I'm thinking there's a reason to try to remove yourself from a place where you might be more inclined to want to show queer parts of yourself and try to fit in by moving into a nuclear society where you have to act heteronormative, where it's the norm around you.
You're connecting so much in my brain right now. I'm thinking back on the movie, and you're saying Police Chief Brody came from an island initially. If you want to think of New York, like, you know, just another island. And then he comes here, and I think in an exchange he has with the gentleman at the beginning of the film, someone says like, oh, it's an island. And he says, it's only an island if you're looking at it from the water. And I think the other person says like, I don't know what that means or something.
He's like, the thing that scares me, if I can just ignore it, then I can live in safety. Not like, to be like, that sounds queer, but it kind of do. If I see Chief Brody and Matt Hooper and Quint as well as like straight appearing people who might have a queerness to them, they have all developed these different ways of coping in a world that just sees them as straight and that maybe they want to be perceived as straight. But yeah, Jen Corrigan, 3 Men on a Boat. Thank you for writing this. I have never felt so seen in my entire life. I think I cried. I don't know at one point I did, but I did cry.
Don't you love that when you find that someone else caught the like 2-second little micro like interaction on a film that you're like, okay, is this the gayest thing ever for you? Because She's the Man made me who I am today, you know?
Or it's like no one can tell you you're wrong. Your experience is your experience. So the Jaws is a gay movie. But first, Jaws was a gay book.
What?
Did you know that?
No.
It was a novel written in 1974, and it has the iconic cover actually came from the cover of the book of the big mouth chomping up that really sexy swimming lady. Iconic.
So iconic. Whoa, I didn't know it was a book. Was it a good selling book?
It was at the time, but I think it had a lot to do with the movie. So the book was a first novel by writer Peter Benchley, who was working on this or a book about pirates. So I was like, at some point, we were going to get into your lexicon.
When are you going to tell me he's gay?
He is unfortunately not, but he did write this book in 1974, and the film came out in 1975. So it was snatched up pretty early in its release by the producers of this film, adapted quite quickly. And, you know, even the writer of the book, Peter, says, like, this isn't my best work. It just has made me the most money. And I say, you go.
You cash those checks, sir.
You did that shit.
Yeah.
It was inspired by a story he heard of a 2-ton shark being caught in Montauk in the 60s. He developed the book and apparently went through about 120 different titles for it before choosing the word Jaws 20 minutes before it went to print and just being like, yeah, sure, there's Jaws in the movie. Like, there's Jaws in the story. Let's just go with that. And the publisher being like, this could be a movie about a dentist. Like, and we need to choose something more specific. He's like, I don't have any more titles. That's it.
Wait, do you know any of the working titles by chance?
I do. A lot of the other titles he was working with, he kept calling pretentious. Like, he would call his own title work pretentious, such as The Stillness in the Water, The Jaws of Leviathan, Leviathan Rising. Yeah. And finally he was just like, fuck it, just do Jaws. That'll do. It's a terrible title. No one's going to like it.
I couldn't imagine where it was going. You're like, he thought they were pretentious. I'm like, I'm sure they weren't that bad.
The Stillness in the Water.
Jaws of Leviathan. Is this about... No.
Cool it.
Yeah. Jaws was the
It's
one.
literally about a shark gobbling up hot people. Like, that is it. End of story. But yeah, obviously it went on to make a bunch of money because of the movie. And a quick aside, this hasn't really come up yet, but I was like a marine biology girl growing up. I feel like that comes with the bisexual territory.
That seems like you all over. Like, I can see you. I can see rainbow fish. Yeah. Jane Goodall.
My specific obsession,
biology,
but hey, she was
adjacent. Girl in STEM.
Obsessed.
Yeah.
But I was a shark person, like, specifically. Like, I would go get books on sharks from the library, like, read them late, scare myself shitless, and like write down a bunch of little facts about them. I was like constantly thinking about them, terrified. To this day, I do not get in pools alone. No. Period. I do when I go to the ocean, maybe hip level. Unless it's like the Mediterranean. And I'm like, there's no sharks here.
I was surprised to hear that you were obsessed with sharks, because that is one of the first things I learned about you, was that you did not like sharks or shark movies. I think we were driving over the causeway or something, and you were like, actually stop talking about it, everybody in the car. It's not funny, and I'm scared right now because we're over water.
Like my body does something. But the thing is, it's because I'm so fascinated by them, I think I became afraid of them because they're just big, dumb chompers.
Yeah. Well, if you like, I've always maintained that like loving something and hating something is more similar than like feeling indifferent to it.
Yeah.
So they might come from like the same place, which is like you're just like amazed by it.
That whatever is like big shock. Shock. I do consider myself someone, like if I saw someone killing a shark, I think I would cry. Like I feel very protective over them. But one of the things I learned in all of my extensive library research, dear reader, is that through the release of Jaws and then some subsequent sensationalized media stories about American people being attacked and killed by sharks led to a public belief for many decades and even until today that sharks are like capable of revenge and like man eaters. Mm-hmm. And it basically led to this huge influx of shark hunting that has decreased the population by over 70% in the 50 years that this movie has been released.
What does Spielberg think about that?
And it's hard to say, like, Jaws did this.
It did, though.
Because there's like an industry for shark fins as like medical and culinary usage around this time in certain parts of the world. So I brought this all up to say basically that in 2008, there was a federal court case called the United States versus approximately 64,695 pounds of shark fins. There was a vessel carrying 32 tons of shark fins found by the U.S. Coast Guard. And they were like, where the fuck do y'all get these shark fins? And they were like, we found them.
Oh, they fell off a truck.
They fell off a truck and we just scooped them up.
Mm-hmm, sure.
And so, basically this led to the Shark Conservation Act signed by Barack Obama in 2011. So all that to say, the sharks are coming back. This is your public service announcement. Sharks are not mean. They're not killers.
They're now.
Endangered.
Yeah.
Protect.
I think I would.
The shock.
I think I would like consume myself with guilt if I was Steven Spielberg and that many of the species died after I made a movie about it.
So the real person actually to take on this legacy and to carry the weight of this loss of all this shark life was Peter Benchley, who wrote the novel. He actually went on for like the last 20 years or so of his life, became like a huge conservationist for sharks specifically. Because he's like, I saw how the media took this animal and like warped its personality to a point that people thought it was okay to kill them, thought it was cool to kill them. There would be like charters going out and be like, you can come kill a shark. And so he spent many years trying to rectify that. So thanks, Obama. Thanks, Peter Benchley. The sharks are coming back. Snaps.
Prey on sharks, you guys.
But I would like to get into the production.
Let's get into the production, Lizzie. Let's talk about this movie. I know Spielberg.
Yeah, what do you know about? Like, have you heard any little rumors about the production?
I know that the shark broke. I do know the shark broke. The thing I know about Steven Spielberg is he directed all these movies that are great and obviously Jurassic Park and all that incredible stuff. But more specifically, my heart goes out to him because I love roller coasters. And I went to Universal Studios I think like 6 months ago or something, and had the best time and loved all the movie rides. And it was like my third Spielberg ride before I was like, does he own this whole fucking park? And I looked it up and he's like the creative director of Universal Studios. And he like has a hand in all of the roller coaster decisions, not even just the ones that are based on his IP. Like the newest Frankenstein ride was his, like he championed that and like made all of those decisions. So I just respect his level of side questing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He do that.
He is that guy.
He's like all of our childhoods and like our children's childhoods are Spielbergian.
Well, that's why when you were saying like all of those sharks were killed, I was like, I think if I was Spielberg, I feel more responsible than the writer of this book because he directed the film so thoroughly and it's so terrifying. Like if you think of Anaconda, like a bunch of giant snakes didn't go endangered, you know, but everybody I think has a very quick reference to Jaws.
No, this set the precedent. I asked my mom because she was like in her teens whenever this movie came out, and grew up on a beach, like very beach forward. Like whenever we go to the beach, my mom's the one like swimming the way out there, and I'm like, well, I'm going to be an orphan now because my mom's going to get eaten by a shark.
Bye, Mom.
I was like, what did you think when Jaws came out? And she was like, she lived in Florida at the time. She was like, I would go out and some days be the only person on the beach in the dead of summer.
Whoa.
She was like, people would not come to the beach with me.
Oh my
And I was like, why
goodness.
weren't you afraid? And she said something crazy. She's a Leo, so ain't nothing stopping her.
Yeah, she was going to go out regardless.
Yeah, but thanks, Mom. Everything was fine in the end. But yeah. So what you heard about the production is true. The shark that they used to film with and just everything was a disaster. This was like one of the most disastrous productions in the history of Hollywood.
Huh. Yeah, you hear about, what is it, The Exorcist a lot, but I haven't heard anything about Jaws other than the shark, so I'm really excited to learn.
I think literally every plan they set out to do was like the wrong decision, and they had to dump so much money into solving every problem. So this was Steven Spielberg's second film,
Whoa.
done when he was age 27. Yeah, sink your teeth in that one. What were you doing at 27?
My taxes.
Trying to figure it out, my taxes.
What was his first?
His first was a TV movie
It's called Duel. It's like
called Duel.
I think it's a car chase thing. I
Yeah.
haven't seen it.
It's like about a truck driver that you can't see that's like stalking this person and try to kill them.
Work.
It was, and he was afraid of, so he said yes to this film. Like the producers of it had worked with him on his first film. The producers of Jaws were like, hey, we want you to come do this. And he said yes pretty quickly, but then realized like, oh shit, I don't really like this story. I think the screenplay that had at that time been written by Peter Benchley, the writer of the book, wasn't very good. He was like not excited about it. And he was like, if I do this, I'm going to be known as like the car chase shark guy. Like this sucks. I want to get out of it. But he had already signed a contract with the producers and were like, if you get out of this, we're going to sue you for millions and millions of dollars. He was like, okay, fine, I'll do it.
I'm gonna do it then.
So he was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this the Steven Spielberg way. He's like, I'm going to commission 3 totally robotic, pneumatic, life-size sharks to be created for this film.
Huh.
And each shark kind of like fulfilled a different role. One could like go side to side. One could go up and down. One could
Chomp.
Chomp. But they were a mess. He spent 1/3 of the $3 million budget just trying to get the sharks to work. And they ended up dumping $2 more million into the sharks throughout the production.
What?
They would get seaweed in them. The salt water would erode stuff. Like the chomper would stop chomping. It was...
So they were robots that worked in water and were
Yes.
controllable from like a distance.
They were controllable by a distance or could be pulled by like various boat maneuverings, but they were, controllable, like they could act.
Yeah.
Like there was up to 14 operators per shark, like getting them to like blink and move and like crunch, and they could bleed. Like these things were state of the art. However, one of the things that really screwed them over was this was the first Hollywood film that had been filmed in the ocean. Like most of the time these water movies are done on a studio set in California somewhere. But Spielberg was like, not I want to film this in Martha's Vineyard on a real beach, use a real town, to give it like this vastness, because usually it's just like background painted extension scenes at this point in the 70s. So, but that specifically made the shoot incredibly harrowing. The crew was so mad at Spielberg by the end of this. They started filming in May and were supposed to end in like late June. They ended up shooting all the way through October. So triple the amount of days that they were set to do this film. And he says we were lucky if we got like a scene a day.
Whoa.
Like some days we just got nothing.
That is so like you're already trying to problem solve for like a shark in water, but then to remove like all the control, like now you have like wind speeds you can't change, water temperatures you can't change, you can't shoot most of this from land, and that's what one of the things I told you, like all the underwater shots, I was amazed, like how do you shoot underwater with film on these huge cassettes, like in these tanks? I'm curious to see how they pulled that off.
Well, the DP, who I'm forgetting his name now, but took on the challenge and was actually really excited to shoot this film and invented like a way of waterproofing and like creating this housing for the camera that they could shoot all these underwater shots, because a lot of it takes place in water. And even if you're not under the water. The camera can't get wet. So they employed like any manner of robotics and technology available to them in 1975, and they still encountered every possible problem. And then the kicker was, when they could get these like giant robotic sharks to work, most of the time the footage came out looking silly. Like they weren't scary because you could see it go like, and the editor, Verna Fields, was like, baby boy, this is not gonna work. We gotta figure something out. So between the editor, Verna Fields, who I'm saying her name because she is kind of the reason this film is so fucking good. Like it was her idea to feature the shark less, and like kind of accidentally spurned this like huge idea that like, don't show the monster and you will increase the suspense. Like the don't show the monster rule, as far as I know, started with Jaws.
Yeah.
You don't see the shark for an hour into the like more than halfway into the film.
It's such a satisfying storytelling tool to incorporate because, especially with something like a shark, it's so mysterious because it's under the surface and you can only see like by the time you see it, it's too late, essentially. So like that is, gosh, I can't believe like this film and Verna Fields did that shit because
she did
the
that shit.
Editing is fantastic. The pacing is really great. And at no point did I ever feel like bored or not scared.
No, 50 years later, this film is really scary, right? Were you afraid?
I was like holding your couch and your dog and you at various points like I was going to like drift away or something. I was very on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, no, the suspense is unmatched. But then when you actually do see the shark, like the scene where Quint gets like nommed by the shark is so visceral and terrifying. Like he literally just gets like consumed from the waist up. Like they did that shit.
Yeah, when they do use the shark at the end, it's a nice like scale for you to understand, especially with the size of the boat.
Yeah.
You know?
They apparently spent like over a month out on like open water filming like the final act of the movie, like when all three men are on the boat together trying to fight the shark. And you know that line, it's super famous, you're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yeah.
So this was actually an inside joke between the crew and something they said constantly throughout production, because when they first started filming, there was like a production boat, like not the hero boat that you see in the film, but like the production boat that held all the craft services and the water bottles and the lights and stuff. And the producers, who apparently were like penny pinching at this point, got like a really small boat, so like hardly anything fit on it and things were like falling off of it constantly. And so the crew would joke like, you're gonna need a bigger boat. And so the actor who plays Brody would kind of like feed in this line every now and then during filming. They did a lot of ad-libbing, and finally it got used in the final cut and is like super iconic. I mean, look at my cup.
You're gonna need a bigger cup.
I don't need a bigger cup.
No, that's the perfect size cup. Love that. That's so funny. Yeah, I in my imagination of how this movie was produced was like it had buku bucks. Spielberg was already a huge name. He was like finger pointing and all of it came together magically. And only weird thing was the shark. But
this was like a guy who like fully had like multiple roommates to afford rent and was just like making it up as he went. Like the screenwriters, they went through multiple screenwriters. And the one that they finally ended up with, Carl Gottlieb, would deliver pages to shoot the night before, like at dinner the night before. He'd be like, how's this sound? And Steven Spielberg would be like, sounds good, let's try to film it tomorrow, get the robo shark up. And so the whole time Steven Spielberg was like, I'm never making another movie again.
Well, it's so funny you said like he didn't, after he signed up to do Jaws, was like, man, I'm gonna be the action and shark person. It's like he went on to do like monster animatronics. Yeah. Like some of his biggest hits.
Yeah.
So
fucking Jurassic Park, another perfect movie.
E.T. also animatronics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So trust the process sometimes. Trust your editor, really.
Yeah.
I trust Gerald with my life.
I trust our editor with my life as well.
All right, so with that, let's get into the movie.
Amity is a summer town. I don't think you appreciate the gut reaction people have to these things. You yell barracuda, you're racist, huh? You yell shark, we've got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
Let's go.
I like sometimes you watch like a classic movie and you're like, okay, if you couch this in the time when it came out, sure, it was really impressive. This movie might stand the test of time like for millennia.
It is so good. Just any of the visuals from it just remind me of how like pitch perfect it is. And I think, are we gushing about the movie yet?
Yeah, let's gush. Let's take a small moment to gush.
The cinematography in this movie, I am in love with. It really reminds me of like Sam Raimi, Evil Dead, and even most specifically Sam Raimi's Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
The shots that they're composed with characters' faces bookending both ends of it and not in focus, but like really tight over the shoulder. So you see the side of the actor reacting to the person who's in focus. It's really dynamic. It looks great, and it makes it look really like fresh even now, I think.
Yeah. It's like you see a lot of like super wide angles of the ocean feeling infinite, paired with like two people speaking so closely together that you feel like they're being consumed by the ocean around them. And just like the really tight framing leads a lot into my so-called thesis here today about queerness, because these men are experiencing these like really intense emotional situations 3 inches away from each other. They're facing life and death like at each other's shoulders, and there's just like breeding ground for queerness.
I am so ready.
Also, John Williams. Donna.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Who was John Williams at this point? Was he that guy yet?
I feel like this is the first collab for Spielberg and John Williams. I could be wrong, but I think so.
This is the first nomination.
I remember seeing
John
like
Williams.
an interview or something with John Williams talking about the score.
Oh,
he did the Sugarland
Express.
Express. Is that comes before this, right? Or
Yeah,
no?
Sugarland Express came out
Oh.
right before this.
Yeah. So Duel was the TV movie.
Yeah.
Sugarland Express was before this, and he did the score. Yeah. That's a cool movie too. I watched for the first time last year.
Yeah. So John Williams, this is his second collaboration with Spielberg. He did Spielberg's first theatrical release movie, Sugarland Express. Duel was also coming out around the same time. It was his first TV movie, which people are like, that doesn't count.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, so they had worked together once before, but apparently whenever John Williams sat Steven Spielberg down in his studio and was like, hey, I want to show you what I've been working on for Jaws, and he played those 2 notes that, you know, Steven thought he was fucking with him and just laughed and was like, haha, great joke, buddy, 2 notes. And it was like, no, wait, like, this is what I'm bringing you.
Scott Pilgrim. I can't wait to hear the rest of it. Rest of it. Can't wait to hear when it's finished. Yeah.
Finished?
These are the 2 notes I got for you, Spielberg.
It still strikes fear into my absolute core. So let's start this movie.
Let's go.
Picturesque. Imagine it. Welcome to Amity Island. This is a fictional town in New England. They filmed it in Martha's Vineyard, and this is meant to be in like Montauk. So like super North New England. A bunch of teens are drinking around a beach campfire, and hot young girl Chrissy lures a young man into the water for a bit of skinny dipping.
Naturally.
And she gets dragged under by something. I just gotta say, I'm gonna get more into this in the rabbit hole episode, but I watched this movie with a different horror subgenre lens on and was seeing a lot of the rules met.
Which
Can you guess? Can you? Like a young person, sexually active, inebriated.
Well, they had sex and they're drunk, so
Yeah.
you have to die. Scream rolls, obviously.
It's slasher, baby.
It's classic slasher. And the only thing that makes sharks scarier are sharks at night.
Yeah, so true. I would literally rather die than put my body in the ocean at night. Like,
no, you gotta be crazy pants to do that.
you won't even catch me like near the water's edge.
No, that's when they grab you.
That's when they feed.
Yeah.
Doy. But yeah, I saw a lot of slasherness in Jaws, and I want to argue that Jaws is a slasher, but I'm going to do that in our rabbit hole episode, available only on Patreon, so stick by for more of that.
I've never agreed more, and I haven't even formed a thought yet. I'm on board.
You're right, queen. All right, the next day, we meet Chief Brody, new to town from the big city. He gets called in when the girl's ravaged body washes ashore. And he instantly labels the death as a shark attack and orders the town to close the beaches. It's at this point that we meet the mayor and some other leaders of the town, and they try to convince him to relabel the death as a boating accident because they do not want to scare away the summer tourists, which are apparently their bread and butter.
So they're like, this is the only time we make money. We make money for 8 weeks. We need those people in the water.
Yeah.
So this was just a boat that, like, I guess they're trying to say, like, did she swim into the propellers or she, like, just drowned after being on a boat?
It's not crazy that, you know, a person could be drowned in this part of the country. But if you say, this is where we get that infamous line, say barracuda, people say, what? If you say shark, you're going to have a panic on your hands. And I think there's like there's another podcast out there that will take this thread and run with it. But there's like a really interesting class reading of Jaws because, you know, we're seeing people in authority assuage fears in order to make more money. And we're also seeing like this comparison of the blue collar, white collar between Matt and Quint. There's like so much there. And I actually started kind of delving into that in my notes. And I was like, wait, we're not that podcast. But it is a very interesting thing. But one thing, and I alluded to this earlier when I said I picked up one of my notebooks off the shelf and found like a diatribe I had just scribbled in there the first time I'd ever seen the movie. But this like idea of how the town reacts to this unseeable threat feels very moral panic to me in a way that really mimics how I saw, or, you know, I wasn't there, but how to me America reacted during the AIDS crisis. There's like this threat that targets a very specific group of people. It's absolutely deadly. And rather than officials recognizing the threat, they really lie and mitigate it to the public through the news in order to like kind of keep the public from being fully informed and therefore fully safe. Again, this film came out, you know, 2 decades before the AIDS crisis, but it kind of just shows, it mimicked to me how these moral panics can really take over if you let a few, you know, men in power make decisions for how things should be handled in like a public crisis scenario.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that. And the mayor is like also like so sheltered from it ever touching him. You know, like if you
never
notice,
see him in the water.
He never gets in the water.
So right.
And this like idea of a class system makes a lot of sense. Like the ruling party, you know, has access to information that everybody would probably want access to. Let's not send our 5-year-old into the water. Yeah, that's what I was picking up on too. And I will listen to that other podcast that does the sociology read of Jaws.
Yeah, if anyone knows of another fully formed conversation about the class reading of Jaws, it's also so good. I want to listen to it. Please let me know. So the next day at the beach. Wait, I need to wet my whistle too.
Girl, drown that whistle. Slop it up.
Chum. It's my chum.
Your chum bucket.
The next day at the beach, the shark strikes again, killing a young boy, Alex. His mother puts out a bounty for $3,000 to kill the shark, and it's an absolute feeding frenzy when fishermen arrive from all over the place to try to catch this mega rare shark.
How was Quint just there so quick? Like, he looks like a ghost who's lived in the town for thousands of years, but like he just got like a radio signal and zoomed over there in his pirate ass boat.
Well, like the first time I watched this film, I was like, there's no way Quint's job is just shark hunter. But allegedly, that's like literally what he do. Like his handle would be like at the shark hunter, blue check verified.
Stop. I follow this content creator who's a wasp exterminator and his handle is Wasp King. So this guy would just be Shark King.
It's like, and like Wasp King, right? And Quint. Do they love the thing that they're obsessed with killing, or do they hate it? You never really know.
For me, and I will definitely get into this more later probably, but with Quint, it does seem like a trauma response based off of his backstory. And you know, when you have PTSD, it also is commonly coupled with like OCD, where you like have the same thoughts. And sometimes a lot of people report feeling safer in situations where they know they're going to be exposed to it because they're already thinking about it constantly, and they can kind of remain comfortable because they know what will likely happen. Even if it's a bad result, they feel comfortable in it. I can kind of see maybe that's where Quint's coming from, where like he can't avoid it, so he just leans into it, you know?
We're going to be around all the sharks because of that time I couldn't. Which, yeah, that was a real story, by the way. The USS Indianapolis and people getting snapped up by sharks was fucking real.
These
poor people.
That's a terrifying movie. Like, why isn't that a shark movie?
Spielberg. Get on it. Saving Private Ryan, but with sharks.
Yes.
We're laughing, but it was
That
very
sounds so
horrific.
scary.
I would literally die. I would shoot myself and die.
No, you can't even kill yourself.
No.
You have to get chomped to death by a shark in that
And
situation.
you're just wet and hungry. Oh my God. It could never be me.
Titanic, but worse.
Could never be me. But yeah, the Quint character, by the way, is based off of a real shark hunter
Captain Knuckles.
named Captain Knuckles. Named Frank Mundus. He like caught a bunch of big ass sharks in Montauk. This was the thing that led Peter Benchley to write the novel. But there's a totally fresh new character that we're about to see on the scene, and that is shark expert from the Oceanographic Institute, Matt Hooper, who comes in to help, I guess, give his little shark facts and be like the adorable little marine biologist he is. I'm fully dressed Matt Hooper right now.
You're Matt Hoopered out. You've got the light wash denim Levi's.
With the light wash denim shirt jacket.
Yes, and the little hat.
This is literally his hat.
I love him. He's so sweet.
He's so sweet. And he kind of brings
Smells
in...
terrible, I'm sure.
Oh my God, no, they all stink to high heavens. But I love his little capsule wardrobe. He really does like reuse pieces throughout the film, which not a lot of films do that. And when they do it, I clock it and I appreciate it.
I know all of these things. I'm like, at first, I was like, what a choice. He's such a auteur. And I'm like, it's probably because they didn't have money. But
Like $40 budget.
I think that's what makes the constraints, especially in this movie, shine, is because the people and the stakes of the film are so tightly constrained as well. So
Yeah.
it seems like a concerted effort.
Yeah. I say they didn't spend a lot of money on denim. They were too busy spending it on like robot sharks and like naked ladies. But
Me too. Doing my taxes.
Tax deductible. But also I feel like right away Hooper and Brody have really solid chemistry.
Yeah.
They like greet each other very enthusiastically and like kind of like clutch and like hold on to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And like from this point on, if Hooper is in the room, Brody is like locked in on him.
He's like always so
Like,
close, arms
Always
length.
let me see her.
He's like, let me
Can I grab
can
that
I
for
grab?
you?
Yeah, they're always touching on each other.
And like just kind of smiling and giggling. Like they instant connection. Where does that come from? Let's find out. But anyway, all the crazy shark hunters catch a shark, but Matt Hooper says this is not the shark. And so this is when like the heaviness of the situation gets put on Chief Brody's shoulders. There's a really honestly awesome scene where the dead boy's mother approaches Chief Brody, slaps him, and basically lays all the blame on him that her son is dead, saying, you knew about this shark and you did nothing to stop it. And Hooper's there to kind of witness this scene and see that Chief Brody like takes on this emotional burden, that he does in fact blame himself for all these people dying. And so Brody goes home depressed. And this is a scene I want to talk about and kind of ruminate on for a second here. But he goes home depressed, refuses to speak to his wife, doesn't really speak to his kid, is like obviously like very downtrodden by the situation. His wife is like trying to goad him with food and jokes and like playful touches and like a back massage. And he's just like really shut down until Matt Hooper walks in the room carrying a bottle of red and a bottle of white. And as soon as he enters the scene, Chief Brody like wakes up and is like laser focused in on him. And they kind of have this like shorthand dialogue scene where Chief Brody starts like unloading all of his fears about these creatures, and Matt Hooper is able to like confirm and reassure him and make him laugh. He actually does like kind of crack at one point and is like, okay, the next step, let's go cut open this shark and see if it's the shark.
I'm smiling so much because it's reminding me so much of Seven. David Fincher, the Finchman, my baby girl. I love him. But
So baby girl.
Do you recall Seven? Have you seen Seven? Yeah. There's a great moment, and none of this is a spoiler or anything, but like the two partners, the police partners, they have dinner. Like the wife of one invites the other partner to dinner. And at first they're very buttoned up and they're all full of stress and like whatever. And then they start drinking a bit of wine, and it's like an intimacy flows and becomes unlocked, and they feel safe caring for each other's life, like weirdly after this dinner. And that's exactly what the scene felt to me as well.
100%. And then like, if we're kind of going back to like, why did Chief Brody move out here? He obviously has like a stable relationship with his smoking hot wife. She's kind of like the perfect woman.
Yeah. She's like the Jack Frost.
Yeah, she's
Kelly
like,
Preston.
Honey, here's some whiskey. You want to like fool around while the kids are out? Like, she is willing to give him whatever he needs and is like very caring. Obviously, they do love each other. But then why is it that he doesn't feel seen by her? Why is it that he is opening up to this absolute stranger that just arrived in his life? And so kind of talking about what I mentioned earlier, like, why would he move out here? And if we're seeing Brody as a model for a straight passing queer person, I feel like he would have chosen to leave New York to come to small town podunk nowhere to kind of fluff away the parts of himself that are non-heteronormative, because he's like, I can be the father of two, the police chief here, so much easier than I could back in New York. By doing this, he's really isolated himself and he's lonely. And so through Matt Hooper, he can find comfort, and he can even be mentored to a certain point and comforted by Quint later on in the film. And they're kind of, to me, like gay elder vibes. Like, they have both chosen to live isolated solo lives for their own reasons, for their own accords, but they both seem to have like an ease and a confidence moving through the world that Brody doesn't have. And I think he sees that in them and is like attracted to it and wants to learn, like, wait, how can I maneuver this heteronormative world a little bit easier? How do y'all do it?
He sees like what I think he interprets as genuinely straight men, or like maybe more so with Quint, but like, this is a man so secure in his masculinity that he's fine with being like a funky little pirate. And maybe I can be a weird version of myself too without being at risk of, you know, my whole life unraveling.
Right. Yeah. So this is a great scene because we see Chief Brody kind of come back to himself, and it also like solidifies Hooper and Brody as like bosom buddies.
They're besties. They're Jim and Pam in the rest of this movie, like looking at each other and like sharing knowing glances and stuff.
Boyfriends.
They're so cute.
So they go perform a boyfriend autopsy together on this shark. The shark ain't it. This shark was down in New Orleans having the Mardi Gras of its life, eating Louisiana license plates. And they have to charter their killing expedition with Quint. And now we've got 3 men on a boat.
Boys on a boat.
You gotta love it. Jen Corrigan. So right off the bat, when we see these 3 men, and this is where we spend the rest of the film, right? It's like these 3 guys on a boat in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. We see Quint right off the bat treat Hooper and Brody differently. Like when he meets Hooper for the first time, he like demands, let me see your hands, and like clutches onto him and like rubs his hands between his own very close together in a very like intimate way that he's like, I'm sizing you up through this casual touch. And, you know, eventually comes to the conclusion, like, these are a rich man's hands. You don't know the first thing about shark hunting, which gets Hooper all up in arms.
I'm like, stop negging me.
Like,
stop holding my hand.
Grumpy Sunshine,
Stop.
enemies to lovers.
You have so much to teach me.
Exactly. And then with Quint and Brody, though, I feel like he does take on this like protective role. Like, Brody doesn't know the first thing about tying knots.
I don't think they show him like tying his shoelaces.
He doesn't.
He's like, get behind me, son.
He's wearing sunscreen. Yeah, no, he like very much like stays aware that, you know, Brody, much like Hooper, is not like a hands-on working class guy. Like, he too is very, very white collar in a way, being the highest ranking chief official in this entire city, but chooses to not like take him down a peg for it and chooses to kind of bring him under his wing. And it's like, you got a little cut on your forehead, there's band-aids in the cabin. Or like, I'll tell you how to untie that knot next time, like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, he's like, put a band-aid on that and tell that fucker he better get down there, put some grease on the ham drives or whatever. It's like, okay.
It's like, okay, sure. I just think it's so cute. And it really culminates in a single scene, which to me is like the emotional crux of this entire movie. And that is the scene where they drink and show each other their scars.
Midnight margaritas. As soon as this started, I was like, put the lime in the coconut.
Makes it all
They're
up.
drinking truth serum and just telling each other their lore. Love it.
Let's watch a male bonding ritual, shall we? I'm going to show Sam this clip and we'll be right back. Sam, can you tell us a little bit about boys' night out.
Yes. Midnight margaritas, you mean?
Yes.
So we have all 3 of our beautiful boys down in the part of the boat that has a word. Yeah, galley. And they're all sitting there, and it looks like some drinks are about to be had. And Quint, it's in an act of vulnerability, goes like, you want to see, I guess, some of my scars, and pulls one of his teeth out. And then Matt Hooper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Goes, I've got that beat, and they're like one-upping each other on their scars, and like subsequently removing their clothes as they're doing this slowly and like getting closer. One point, Quint, when Matt's leg is already up, Quint puts his up and over Matt's, and they go, you want to share a drink? And they're like gabbing. But what you also see is that Chief Brody is watching them, and it looks like he's doing the math internally and going, well, this is the most masculine thing I could be doing. I am the chief of police. I'm in charge. I'm a man. I have a family. I'm protecting other families. We're on a boat with pirates and we're killing sharks. Like, it seems like he's like, this is very masculine. And they're naked on top of each other, intertwining their legs.
Giggling.
And then he looks at his scar underneath his shirt and then very markedly chooses not to say anything.
Yes. This scene is like the full physical manifestation of just like kind of the feelings I think that these 3 men invoke in me. You laid it out perfectly, because you're right. Like, they're getting to touch each other in a way that is appropriate. They're getting to like share intimacy and kind of like one up each other's and share parts of themselves in a way that is still, you know, acceptable.
Masculine.
And like, while they are like being progressively more and more intimate, because where this scene ends up after this is that Quint gets a very serious moment where he shares the story of what happened to him on the USS Indianapolis, which we mentioned earlier is a real event in World War II, where a ton of World War II fighters got stranded in the middle of the ocean for days, slowly getting picked off by sharks until like about a third of them made it. And my guess is that he doesn't tell a lot of people about this experience, because how it happens is Matt Hooper sees a scar on his shoulder and is like, what's that? You got like burned by a curling iron? And Quint goes, no, I got a tattoo removed. USS Indianapolis.
Tattoo removal now hurts like a bitch, but like back then, like, it was so uncommon to get tattoos.
Yeah,
removed.
He probably got tired of explaining the story. He probably didn't want to bring it up. So the fact that he's like offering it bare here, it's kind of like the emotional climax of the scene in a lot of ways. So, and then Brody's reaction, like you mentioned, like kind of looking in from the outside in, seeing these models of heteronormativity, of queerness, of how to be queer but also still maintain your masculine sense of self in this world and time. And he chooses to, he too has a scar that we see on his stomach, and he almost shyly goes to present it but like doesn't quite know how. But we are kind of seeing Chief Brody like watch these men and also look at himself and say, how can I be like them? How can I be this comfortable with myself in this world? Because
he does say he's like afraid of the water, and they make a couple comments about it. And I think his wife mentions it, and it seems like she's the only one that knows the story. And like, this is a perfect opportunity for him. Like, there couldn't be a more perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
And he still decides against it, which I think he's just dipping his toe in, you know?
Yeah, no, he comes full force. We kind of see him metamorphosize throughout the rest of the film. But yeah, I guess the one last thing I'll say is, I mentioned this earlier, but why is it so funny that Matt Hooper had his heart broken by a girl? Everyone thinks this is the funniest fucking thing ever. He's like, could you imagine a girl getting to me?
Well, it's funny when he points at it. Quint says, you're wearing a sweater.
Yeah.
Because he has so much chest hair when he takes his shirt off.
They are flirting.
They are hardcore. And mind you, they are tangled up in each other.
They're like, literally like puppies in a pile.
I love them.
It's a great scene. But Jen Corrigan speaks to the fact, because I know a lot of people will watch this movie and say like, well, Brody has a wife. Like, he can't be gay. Brody has a wife.
It's never stopped anyone before.
They all, you know, with the exception of even Quint mentions ex-wives and Hooper mentions an ex-girlfriend. Like, they all have this sexual history with women. And And Jen Corrigan very intelligently says, using sexual history as the sole indicator of orientation is detrimental and damaging, and it's why I struggle with my pansexuality, often feeling guilty for calling myself queer while not being more queer. So this is where that allegory of being straight passing as a queer person really rounds itself out for me, because who are we to say that their history doesn't involve a lot of different experiences, and that even now, if they are, Brody is married to a woman, does that negate the fact that he could have felt something for men in this moment or a past moment or a future moment? And in fact, even the fact that there are 3 men in this situation, not just 2, kind of works to expand our minds on like what is heteronormativity, what is masculinity, because here's 3 men giving and receiving care and attention and chemistry in a way that's like 3 is better than 2, baby. That's why we like our thruples around here. They expand all these definitions.
It's so multifaceted. Like you mentioned, Quint, how he treats so differently Brody and Matt Hooper, and it seems like they all have different personas that they present on land and then on the boat, and then just seeing them even between 2 people change those things on how it really informs us as the audience on how society also perceives them, not just how we're looking at them through the camera.
Yeah, we're like watching over their shoulder as ourselves. Mwah.
Spielberg.
Bonding ritual complete. After this, the kill the shark plot really heats up, and they enter into a very physical battle to take out the big old shark. There's not a lot of gay stuff that happens after this, but here's a couple of gay stuff that happens. At one point, Brody goes to the 2-way radio to like call for help, and Quint smashes it to pieces, which feels like a very insane thing to do. From, Quint's weird, but he's not like destructively weird. He has like a calm head in times of chaos. But I almost wonder if like Brody going to call in reinforcements is going to like dismantle this little bubble that they've made, and maybe Quint isn't ready for that yet. He's like, no, we have it here. This is the 3 amigos. We're gonna figure this out.
Yeah,
I don't want you to call your wife. I don't want you to call the Coast Guard and then come.
He's so hell-bent on doing it the way he wants to do it, and I think he feels like it's within his grasp, because before they go to make the distress call, they spot what they think the shark is, and even Matt's like, we should call the authorities and get them over here, and he's like, no, we're on it now.
Yeah,
like let's just get it us. And then he breaks the distress thing. So I think that he's like, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it now. We're gonna do it us 3 like this.
This is the team.
Love it.
It kind of works. They're shooting barrels into this shark. At some point, Hooper has to lower himself into a shark cage to try to shoot like ketamine ? Into the shark to take him down. And there's this really sweet moment where Brody like reaches down and like plucks off his little glasses and is like, I'll take care of these for you. Cute.
I love that scene. Lizzie was like, I'm not going to put that in the notes. I was like, put it in the notes. It's
such an underrated moment.
As a person who has bad vision, that's how I know Matt Hooper's a real one, because to be like a seafaring person when you have bad vision is so hard. And this is the world before soft contacts.
Yeah.
So he got his scuba gear. He took his glasses off and got his scuba gear. I'm like, his scuba goggles are prescribed.
He can't fucking see a thing.
Yeah. And when you swim and your glasses fly, then you're fucked. You just can't see anything.
Yeah.
So I see you, myopic Matt Hooper.
Matt Hooper goes down in that shark cage. Eventually, Quint gets eaten. This is going really poorly. Brody is left on his own to face his fears and defeat the shark by eventually exploding it into bits when there's like an oxygen tank stuck in its jaws. In which case, Hooper resurfaces. Boyfriend's back.
He's so cute.
Hooper and Brody smile and gaze at each other as they paddle back into the distance, and it's giving, we'll always have Brooke back. So, in conclusion, let's review. Let's see all the gay shit we have here. And I have one final thought for us after that. Brody is a closeted or straight passing queer person who is looking to these other 2 men to find ways that he can maneuver in his life as a man who appears straight. I think that the intimacy between them is more than enough for my little gay feet to be kicking. And also, no horror movie to me is actually about the thing.
No.
It's about. I don't think that Jaws, yes, it is a shark movie, but I think that you can put the shark, a label on that, and make it anything. So here's what I think here's what I think the shark stands for in Jaws. I think that the shark is sexuality. I think your sexuality is not something you can control. You cannot control the shark, where it swims, or what it eats. I think the more you know about your sexuality and the more you know about sharks, the less scary they become. And I think that it is what nature does, what it intends to do, and you can detest yourself like Quint, accept yourself like Matt, or fear yourself like Brody, but in the end, the shark comes for us all.
Wow.
I gotta deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I want to say a million things to that, but like, it is really interesting that, like, it's very interesting. Brody, the police chief, starts off as like a landlubber, not going to go out on the water, which is ironic because he's now the police chief of an island. Yeah, and so he's somehow forced into this situation, and through this learns how, you know, if sexuality is a shark, you don't have control, but that doesn't mean that you're powerless, you know, and he finds community in these other men that are helping him, and they have the same goal. And at the end of the film, he's swimming in open water, which we've never seen his character do before. And it's not like he's killed the last shark on Earth. There could be plenty of other things in that water that hurt him, but he's so almost carefree at the end. That's why I was like so shocked it just ended like that.
Well, he's not alone.
He's got his
boyfriend.
Matt Hooper's everyone's boyfriend. He's like the Josh
International
Hutcherson
boyfriend
of 1975 or whatever.
Short King.
Peter Millark.
Oh my God. I love Matt Hooper's character. I love it. So yeah, that's why I think Jaws is a gay film.
And that's why you'd be right. And that's why I'm reading this book cover to cover after this.
Thanks, Jen Corrigan.
Thanks so much.
Should we get to the reception?
Let's do it. Huge flop ski.
Yeah, no one likes this movie.
I don't think anyone, it's like an underground sort of.
No legacy, very cult classic.
Yeah. Word of mouth.
This was the first movie in history to make $100 million in the box office.
Whoa.
In American history. And also Jaws notoriously kind of created the model of the summer blockbuster. This was one of summertime was not traditionally a time when studios would release films. Typically, like, viewership, I guess they thought, went down in the summer. But this film and then the original Star Wars that came out 2 years later were some of the first films that studio focused on big budget action movies where they pumped a lot of TV ads and merch tie-ins to release across multiple screens in the summer. And this literally created a model that we see to this day where, like, big action movies will come out in the summer and draw hundreds of millions of dollars of ticket sales and merch sales and popcorn sales.
And cup sales.
Popcorn bucket sales. And so, yeah, this was incredibly a money-making film. Ugh. So the original budget of the film was $3 million. They ended up spending $9 million, which at the time is bananas bonkers crazy. And Spielberg was like, I'm never making another movie again. No one will hire me. But whenever your movie makes $100 million in its first release, and then it's in its subsequent releases making close to $2 billion total, you're good.
You're so set. You can buy Universal Studios and do whatever you want.
This is your theme park, Spielberg. We're just living in it.
I am so pissed that when I went, the Jaws ride was already closed and I never got to ride it.
I will never forgive myself for not going on the Jaws ride.
You didn't go?
No, because I went as a kid and I was too afraid. So they opened the ride in 1990 and then they closed it in 2012, which I had gone to Universal in that time, but I was too scared.
If y'all want to watch us watch the virtual roller coaster experience of Jaws, we'll do that on the Patreon.
I do have a sliver of good news for you, though.
Are they opening it again?
The ride exists in Japan, Universal Studios Japan, so we can do that.
Let's go.
Subtextual field trip
to Japan? We have to go to Japan to ride a Jaws ride. I love it.
Check. Put it on the bucket list. That's a side quest.
Yes.
And last up, because maybe it matters, I don't know, at the Oscars that year, this film was nominated for Best Picture, Best Film Editing, Best Original Score, and Best Sound Mixing, which it won all but Best Picture.
Who won?
That was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest year.
I mean, at this point, I think Jaws takes it, though.
Have you guys seen the video of Spielberg watching the Oscars He's like at home or maybe like in a hotel with some friends, maybe like producers or something, but he's like so bummed about not getting Best Picture. It's really good. It's a great
After all
video.
that.
I love it.
I would be so bummed.
He wins like best editing, best score, best everything else. And he's like, but I didn't get best picture.
And all it got's these 17 sharks that don't work, you know? So depressing.
Oh my God. This is the time where we score the film.
Let's score this fucking shark.
How many barrels
How many
does it
shark
take?
tooths? How many shark merged cups does it take?
Infinite. The limit does not exist. All right, Sam, how does the subtextual score work?
How the subtextual score works is we rate the film on how good it is, and then we rate the film on how gay it is, and then we combine those scores to get an overall subtextual score out of 10.
Which we record on Letterboxd religiously. So follow us on Letterboxd at Subtextual Pod. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good is this movie?
Super good. Obviously. Goes without saying, doesn't it? But personal preference in mind, I will give it a 7. Don't kill me.
I'm going to give it an 8 because I've watched it 4 times in the last year and I would watch it again.
It's good.
Sam, on a scale of 1 to 10, how gay is this film?
Gay. I'll go 5.
5?
5. Gay shark.
Oh, God.
What do you think, Lizzie? Come on. Big number. Big money.
I think it's also a 5 because there were things I didn't even get to say because there's just a lot.
That's what the rabbit hole's for, baby.
Exactly. Tune in on patreon.com/subtextualpod to hear more shit about this movie because it doesn't end.
The stuff that falls out of our ears after we stop the tape. Just whatever comes out.
This film gets a subtextual score of 6.25.
Feels right.
Yep.
It's a good movie.
Yep. I kind of want to watch the sequels.
I have seen Jaws 2 and I cannot recommend.
Oh, it's not scary?
Unfortunately. No.
Bummer.
It's fun, but I wouldn't tell people I recommended this to you.
I started seeing, like, if I saw Jaws everywhere before, I'm still seeing it everywhere now because I put on Godzilla -1 the other day, which won like a VFX Oscar last year and everyone was like raving about. And I was like, this is just Jaws.
Big reptilian Japanese Jaws.
The beats were so Jaws.
Yeah.
So Jaws really like set the monster movie playbook.
When you figure something out, you've like unlocked it for everybody else. Like there's so many musicians I know that like go on record saying like, we made this track list to hit every single beat of Thriller. Like we tried to basically hit the pace of the album Thriller with every single song because it's just like once you have the formula, why fuck with it?
Yeah.
You got big monster, you got people scared.
Don't show the monster too much. Show it real good at the end.
Get a really tiny boat.
Get a bigger boat.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Jaws. Okay, wait, I'm glad you did this episode in the middle of winter so I don't have to think about it for a while.
No. It gives us plenty of months to forget all about this so we can get back into the pool whenever it's warm again.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you. No gay sharks to kill me.
No.
I'm already gay.
What happens when a gay shark meets a gay shark?
A movable object.
Meets an unstoppable force.
Exactly.
Well, like and subscribe. We'll be back with more subtextual films next week. Chomp chomp.
Chomp chomp.
Love y'all.
Bye bye.